Welcome to the Investor Agent Synergy Podcast, where real estate investors and agents come together to build partnerships, create value, and achieve more together. Whether you're an agent looking to unlock new opportunities or an investor seeking the right partnerships, this is the place to learn, grow, and connect. This podcast is proudly sponsored by New Hampshire Homebuyers, a trusted leader in local house buying since 2017. With over 100 glowing reviews and a commitment to being local, fair, and trusted, New Hampshire Homebuyers helps homeowners throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts sell their homes in any condition. Now, let's dive into the podcast. All right.
Episode 14.
Hi, guys.
Shelly Beland, Jeremy Beland, their Investor Agent Synergy Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening today. This episode 14 is really exciting. We just keep cranking these out. It's great guests. And we got another one today. I'm going to pronounce his name right because I practiced like once. Salah Amani, Keller Williams, Gateway Brokerage.
Correct.
Nailed it.
Very good job. I knew you could do it.
Yeah.
High five moment.
I was reading the whiteboard behind him, but no.
Just kidding.
Well, hey, man, Thanks for being here today. Really excited to have you.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
All right. And then why don't we start out by having you just tell us what market you're in, how you got into real estate, and maybe how long you've been in it.
For sure. So I work in the southern New Hampshire market, northern Massachusetts. I have one of those weird getting into it stories. Like I was working drive-through jobs at high school and fresh out of high school I was working. And this guy who was a successful realtor always came to the Dunkin' Donuts that I worked at. And he would see me working all the time. He was like, hey, man, you should get your real estate license. And I was like, I don't really know what a real estate agent does or what that entails. But he was like, just talking to you, I think you'd be a good real estate agent. And I was like, okay. He leaves the drive-through. I look up real estate school near me. And I got my license October 2017.
That's awesome.
Right after you graduated.
I graduated June, got my license October.
Because you started when? 2018? 17?
Yep, October 2017.
And
officially
you're 25
licensed.
today.
25 today.
It's awesome.
It is. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, so you haven't been in it that long, but what are your goals long term in real estate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I enjoy the sales part of it. Like I have a good rhythm of lead generating and like finding seller leads and being able to get listings, help buyers. Like I like what I have to do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
I enjoy like the social part of it.
Yeah.
So I'll do that for the foreseeable future. But like long-term goal is to get the money from the sales part and invest it into multifamilies, and eventually, kind of lean away from having to be an active sales agent all the time, and kind of reap the rewards of the investments down the road.
Well, I think it's so cool that you did it so young, though, because to be 25 years old and already have gotten to this point is just really, really impressive. We have kids that are like 19, 20s, and it's really impressive.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah. How would you say that you bring value to your clients that maybe separates you from other agents?
Yeah. So, like, I work with I have two different distinctions of like clients that I work with. So like the regular ones and then like investors.
Okay.
And like both get treated not treated differently, but the way we go about things is kind of different. Yeah. But for like the traditional regular client, it's always just like kind of working around what their needs are. Like I try to do a good job of like understanding what they need and then telling them how I can add value to it. And oddly enough, kind of the same thing on the investment side, but that's more of I think the traditional buyer and seller, there's a lot more hand-holding involved. And on the investor side, there's still some of that, but they usually know what their costs are and things like that, and it's less emotional. It's no emotions, or it should be on the investment side. So just kind of catering to the needs of those. Like I always say for myself and like other real estate agents that come in, our job is really just to like understand what people need to do and then figuring out how we can fill in the gaps. Like we know how to get a house from contract to close, right? Where the average buyer and seller doesn't necessarily how to do that. So our value is telling them, here's our plan for you based on what you want and getting them to that point. So that's how I go about my business, is just trying to understand people.
It's amazing. So, at 25, you've been in real estate now for, 7, 8 years. You're kicking butt as an agent, which is cool, but you're also an investor, but you also work with investors. As an investor yourself, can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey as an investor?
Yeah, so I kind of took an odd approach in a way, right? Like I've been a busy agent since I started. Like I do a good amount of listings and buyers per year, like 25 plus transactions every year, where like the peak year was 37 transactions.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Good job.
And it's taxing on time, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of working with clients and planning and so forth. But I wanted to get into investing, but I didn't want to get into rehabbing properties. So when I was looking for my first multifamily, I wanted to find one where the work was done to it, and I kind of buy it and rent it out. And the plan wasn't to make a bunch of money out of the gate on them, like kill it on the cash flow.
Yeah.
But hopefully as the debt goes down and the rents go up, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is.
Long-term play.
A long-term thing.
Yeah, 25, you get so many years ahead of you, so it doesn't even matter.
Right.
You're ahead of everybody else your age, so
Yeah.
you're already on a great start. So how many properties do you own currently?
I own 3. I just sold 1, and now it's 3.
So you own 4, but you own 3 multifamilies.
1 is a single family.
One is a single family. Are they all in Manchester?
They are all in Manchester
And you're
now.
renting them all out?
1 I just bought last week, and in that one I am doing slight renovations still.
Okay. What drew you to real estate investing?
I knew that after year 1 of sales, year 1.5 of sales, I knew I didn't want to do sales forever. I like it. And it's a great gateway to
Sure.
get into other things and kind of learn what your skills are and put them elsewhere. So as I'm selling real estate and realizing, this isn't going to be a forever thing, I thought, well, could I start kind of building a bucket for the future? And real estate investing was kind of the path of least resistance as an agent, because you see deals, you see people who have made great sums of money. Like I have clients I sold a house to 2 years ago that reach out and want to sell it, and it's like, oh my goodness, you killed it in 2 years just by owning this property.
Right.
So seeing that early on, I'm like, it would make sense for me to kind of do the same thing that as the buyers do.
Did you learn anything about real estate investing or get any mentorship, or did you just kind of wing it as you went in?
I think I had a good idea of how to look at it as far the long-term thing, and I had mentorship as far as how I should look at numbers and whatnot. So I definitely got mentorship, but I think a lot of people had and would advise me not to do kind of like the buy it rehabbed and try to buy it at a lesser price and build equity.
Like Burritt kind of deal.
Correct. And I didn't take that approach, but yeah, so I have gotten advice and I had mentorship along the way.
Great. And at a young age, because we talked offline before coming on here, you said you bought some of our wholesale deals over the years. And for people who don't understand what a wholesale deal is, sometimes we get a property under contract that doesn't fit our buy and hold criteria for flipping and stuff, and we'll resell those and market those to other investors. You had other investor clients that bought some properties from us. What brought you to connect with that type of client along the way?
You know what's funny? All the investor clients I've worked with, probably 3 or 4 over the years, 2 very consistently, 2 inconsistently. But every time I've ever come across an investor client, for me personally, was through for sale by owner.
Oh, wow.
They had listed their properties for sale by owner on Zillow or whatever. And early on, that's how I got most of my business, was expired listings and for sale by owner listings. People who were trying to sell their house without an agent. And of those FSBOs, some of them were those investors. I helped them sell that one house they had. We did a good job, and they gave me the common line of, hey, if you find us something, we'll work together on that next one. So I went and found them something, and then on and on and on. So two of those clients, investor clients, I've worked with since year 1 of 2018.
Wow.
All the way till now.
Wow. So you've sold many deals to them over the years.
Many deals.
So one of the things we find, and the reason for this podcast is, right, like agents kind of do the agent thing, investors do the investor thing. Some of them mingle, some of them wear both hats like yourself, but some agents don't work with investors at all, and some investors don't work with agents at all. And we're always surprised by that, because the collaboration between the two can be very mutually beneficial. But certain agents, they just, maybe they're intimidated by investors, they don't know what they don't know. But, when you're working with a traditional listing client or a house, buying agent type client, you're doing one deal every 7 years if you're lucky, if they even repeat, maybe some referrals off that. But with the investor side of things, you could be doing multiple deals a year with one client.
Exactly.
And that's worked out pretty well for you?
100%. And I'll say this too. We're in a small market in southern New Hampshire, and most other agents. In my mind, I think every brokerage in this area, their top agent either works with a builder or works with some sort of investor. It's very hard to be a top producing agent or a number one agent without having some kind of source of repeat business, whether it be usually is going to be an investor of some sort. So yeah, it's super helpful for agents. Like it helps you with the inventory, which is the biggest thing of our business.
And you didn't shy away from it at all in the early starts of your career. You just said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Do you think that there's a reason why some newer agents don't reach out and start working with investors?
I think it's always the fear of like them not knowing. They think that they don't know how to help or how to assist.
Okay.
And, having a question asked that they can't answer. And sometimes it could be overcomplicated where it doesn't need to be. Like as an investor, in my mind, the thought process is we need to find a deal and make numbers work. And if they work, we're happy to, there's a shortage of deals. If we can find one, we'll do it. Yeah. And as the agent, as in real estate agents, most should know how to comp a property, what it'll resell for. Right. Hey, if you do this, this is what it'll be worth. So like that relationship kind of innately just works. And it's only the fear of like, oh, I might not be able to answer something or whatever that kind of keeps it away.
Sure.
So if a newer agent came across a property that needed a lot of work or whatever, what advice would you give them for trying to find a way to work with an agent?
I would say...
an investor.
With an investor. Yeah. I would tell the agent, one, help the agent understand the value of like being able to have a good relationship with an investor client. Like it could literally be all the difference in your business now and in the future, right? Because, you build a good relationship with them, they can go a very long way. So I would advise them to seek that out because if you have the deal, that's everything.
Yeah.
In the investor's eye, go find one and make that relationship happen for the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of agents probably stay clear of what we would call a deal, right? Because, the house could be distressed, the situation can be distressed. There could be a lot of challenges emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, time consuming to get involved with that. And, maybe they just don't want to deal with the headaches. Maybe they just feel it's not worth their time. Maybe they feel like there's just easier deals out there in that situation. What we've realized over the years is those type of sellers that fall into that category typically need a lot of hand-holding and help behind the scenes. And, agents like yourself can provide a lot of great value helping these sellers out of these tough situations, whatever the distress is. And their house doesn't qualify for your conventional
financing.
Traditional buyer, right? It's like you always hear people saying investors are stealing houses from everybody. It's like, no, you don't want these houses. These aren't the types of houses you want unless you're going to bring like $200K to the table in cash to fix it up. Okay. But those people need help, right? And you're helping them, and investors can be that source to buy the property, renovate the property. But I don't know. It's strange because, as agents, we're providing a lot of value, right? Whether you're a buying agent, listing agent, both, you're providing value. We're bringing value. But some agents are still staying away from these types of properties, and I'm wondering why that is.
Yeah, I wouldn't understand why they would do that. It definitely, there's a benefit to all parties involved where the seller who, as you mentioned, situations happen, life happens, and this property becomes more of a burden to them than anything else. And as the agent, if you can find someone that can relieve that burden in a short time frame with less hassle to that seller, it's a win for that seller. It's a win for the agent. It's a win for the investor. Like everyone kind of can succeed in what's a crappy situation. Right. Yeah, I don't quite understand why an agent would shy away from that. If anything, if I work with new agents often, and I would encourage them in those situations, that could be a home run for everyone involved, including the sellers that are going through that, difficult situation.
I agree. So as an agent who has experience working with investors, letting other agents to know, what is something they should be looking for with a investor relationship with regards to that investor?
I would say just thinking of the long term is always a good thing when working with the investor, right? So making sure that, when each opportunity that you have to work with them, you want to make sure that it goes well for all so that another opportunity comes again. Right. I think sometimes what I've seen from other agents or I've heard is we just want to get this investor to buy this one house and then kind of have a back door out, good luck to you on whatever you do.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here, right?
I'm glad we got that thing sold,
Which is just a horrible way to go about
Yeah.
it, because what it could be is far better than just one transaction.
Yeah.
And also just being on top of it, like kind of knowing the market, where the investors are. Like for me, like an expert agent is someone who you can say, hey, there's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet house on this street in Manchester. And they could say, it should sell for this.
Right.
But like kind of know the market, know the street. And that when you're working with investors and you can rely that confidently to them on here's what the market's like in these areas,
Yeah.
everyone kind of goes into something feeling.
I can tell you 100% that is absolutely what I care about.
Yeah.
If I'm up at night, I'm always like, I really hope we have strong comps on this property.
Right.
And I want to have faith in that agent that they know what they're talking about for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because it matters, right? Because as you know, as an investor, you're spending a lot of money on these properties. If the numbers don't work out, you can be in
Yeah.
big trouble.
Yeah.
We just took a $32,000 loss on a property up in Laconia. We never saw it coming, but it happens, right?
does.
Right.
You can only take on so many of those before you're out of business, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
what about red flags for an investor, right? So if you're an agent who wants to work with an investor, is there certain traits or certain red flags you should be aware of maybe a type of investor you don't want to work with?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. So if you're the agent and the red flag that the investor's giving,
Yeah.
it's it's tough to know till you're in a transaction with
Sure.
them, I think. But we've all seen investors that cut corners or don't do things and want a quick profit or things like that. It's hard to see it, from a distance, but as soon as you do get a hint of that, it's probably not the best situation. But like you said, investors do, like, I have a great respect when someone's doing a flip or doing something involved with investing, because you do take a huge risk.
Sure.
And like, I think sometimes people forget or don't realize that the investor's sacrificing all this money, all this time into one project. And like on the other side, where the other side, people looking at the investor think, oh, it's just going to be a quick flip or whatever. But more often than not, they're sacrificing a lot to make this happen. And they deserve whatever they get out of it, because nobody else probably in that circle would have been willing to make that sacrifice and risk all the money, risk all the time.
Such a good point. Yeah. It's nice to hear you say
Yeah.
that.
Because I do see it, like sometimes,
Yeah, it's true.
I'll list some of my clients flip houses too sometimes.
Yeah.
And people will walk in and say, oh, was this a flip?
Yeah.
I'm like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it was. And they
Right.
went through the whole thing and
Yeah.
they put up all this money to give a nice house for somebody
Yeah.
down the road. Like
Yeah.
Better
they
than-
did something most people wouldn't
Right.
have the guts to do.
Yeah.
And better than Mr. Seller just working on his house on the weekend, whether he's following the rules or regulations or not, right? So, one thing that I see, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, like, let's just say, we're talking about that 3-bed, 2-bath house in Manchester, and we'll just say the ARV is $500,000, right? And it's just dated. It needs $100,000 worth of cosmetic updates. It needs a new kitchen, bathrooms, flooring, roof, right, painting, and it's on the market for $400,000. Now, why do you think that happens a lot? Why don't you think it's ever priced lower for somebody to come in with a cash buyer with that agent to buy it, put that money into it, and to make profit, rather than just saying, well, it needs $100,000 of work. It's worth $500,000, so let's just list it for $400,000.
I think, and that's usually at fault of the agent, where it's like you want to be able to advise the client how to go about it the best way possible. And the best way possible is never sitting on the market for
Right.
40 days.
Right.
So somewhere in that dialogue or the conversation, something went wrong as far as, hey, here's the best path for you to have a successful sale.
Yeah.
Like something there didn't connect. So I would think it's doing the comps wrong or marketing. The price is a marketing tool most
Right.
times.
Right.
And if you are putting it on at 400, it needs to be a rehab house.
It's going to sit.
Yeah, the marketing tool went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're going to have to lower the price anyway.
Correct.
Right. I know every agent's trying to get as much money as they can for their client, but I see that happen a lot. So with an investor looking to work with an agent, what do you think is something an investor should look for to work with an agent to build that relationship?
For sure. I think, and I can answer that based on how I've needed to be for the folks that I've worked with. Timely, right? Like an investor, deals come and go quick.
Yep.
Hey, you need some information now, you need it now.
Yes.
Like, and I remember early on when I was working with first time I started working with an investor, it was someone had given me this advice of, hey, if they trust you enough and rely on you enough to reach out to you and ask you this question, you need to have the respect to like get to them right away, because time is of the essence when it comes to when it comes to
a
like
day later the deal's gone.
deal's gone. Someone else got the answer sooner than they did,
Yep.
or sooner than you did, and that was a mistake. So being timely, knowing the markets, like we said, like that's a really big part that the agent should have, and understanding, being able to have the awareness of where the investor is coming from too. So like how numbers work, because sometimes an agent will say things like they can exaggerate scenarios, I think sometimes, where, if you do all of this, you'll sell it for this price, and they don't realize what they just said for all of this work costs a lot more than what they think.
Sure.
So kind of have a good sense of reality of like cost and like how scenarios will go with renovating equals to selling at this price. So knowing the market and being timely, I think two biggest things.
I love it. So for new agents that were young like you, 18, and I mean, you're young to us, you're like literally half my age. Like, not much older than my oldest as we sit here. But for new agents who want to get into this field and want to build those investor relationships, what are some steps that they should do to start building that type of clientele?
I would reach out to investors that you know. I would seek deals, seek opportunities where you come across sellers who are in a tough situation and could use that relief. Build relationships with them as you build relationships with investors. So that way you can have a great kind of business for yourself and help others succeed. Like you'll succeed and help investors succeed, help your sellers succeed, as if you can put those two together. I really mean it when I say like most brokerages that I can think of, they're top agents. They all work with some sort of investor. Like you cannot be, if you have these income goals as a real estate agent or unit goals or volume goal, having an investor on your side could really help kind of push you towards that year after year after year.
For sure. So I guess as we wrap this up, as somebody who has been in this business for like 7-8 years now, and you've had a lot of success doing a lot of different things when it comes to real estate, what do you think is like one piece of advice you could give to anybody knowing what you know now that maybe you didn't know 7 years ago?
In regards to real estate?
Yeah, just everything real estate. On market, off market, retail investing, just what you know as a real estate person, professional.
I think if one thing about real estate, good advice is patience. Patience when it comes to real estate. Patience as far as getting a deal, patience for getting that one big win. It's a lot of work, no matter what aspect it is. If you're an investor, if you're an agent, if you're in the real estate business, it's taxing on you emotionally, physically. Like you're gonna have these hard days. But just be patient for like that one good thing to happen. Because what the beautiful thing about real estate in my mind, and I tell like my real estate agent friends, my investor friends this, you just need one good thing to happen and it can change all of your trajectory, right? One good deal, one good closing, one good relationship, and like your entire life and business can change with that.
I love that.
And it's one of the only fields or one of the few that can happen too.
Right.
Because there's a lot of other business and industry or jobs, like typical jobs, where you don't have that kind of opportunity, that one big thing that could happen. Like I always feel so lucky to be in real estate. I say that all the time because you never know what's going to happen next month. Something big could happen and it wouldn't happen in other types of jobs. So it's really cool.
Yeah, because one bad month could be followed by, a life-changing
Something
month
wild.
and you don't even know it, right? Whereas if you're sitting at a desktop working 9 to 5, one bad month may just lead to another bad month.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing life changes.
So having that patience is a lot easier when you know how much like potential there is out there. I agree.
Exactly. Every phone call. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So how do you get your leads these days?
I don't cold call as much. I still do. I still, to a degree, for sale by owners expires because they're just low-hanging fruit for real estate agents. A lot of referral business, sphere. I'm now at that age too where a lot of the kids I grew up with, high school and whatnot,
Starting to buy.
25, they're looking at buying their first home. So so far this year, that's been a big source.
That's cool.
But a lot of referrals. If things get slow, I'll lock myself in the office and I'll start cold calling people for hours and hours.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So if people want to reach out to you and get connected with you, how's the best way for them to do that? How are they going to find you?
Instagram's probably the easiest. Real Sally Amrani.
Okay.
Easiest way to find me.
All right. Cool. We'll put that in the show notes as well.
Yep.
Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you being a guest today. It was a great episode, a lot of great insights, so thank you.
My pleasure. I'm glad to meet you guys. Anyone who knows New Hampshire real estate knows New Hampshire home buyers, so I'm glad to meet you guys.
Thank you. It was so great to have you.
Likewise.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today, guys. What a great episode. Sal, if you guys don't know him, you will for years to come. I mean, at 25 to achieve what he's already done is a true rock star in the making. It's really impressive to see somebody that young doing what he's done in such a young age. Really, really cool. So we'll see you guys next week. Shelly, great job as always. And we'll see you guys then. And thanks for watching.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Investor Agent Synergy Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share with others who could benefit from stronger partnerships in real estate. And a big thank you to our awesome sponsor, New Hampshire Home Buyers, helping homeowners with fair professional solutions since 2017. For more information about New Hampshire Home Buyers, how they can help you or someone you know, please go visit nhomebuyers.net. Until next time, remember, success in real estate is better together. See you on the next episode of Investor Agent Synergy Podcast.